All right, welcome back to Better Kansas City. And just because your reception area is inside of a chapel or a rented hotel ballroom, it doesn't mean you can't revamp it and totally make it your own. Wedding guru, author of Wonder-Filled Weddings and fancy jacket wearer, Michael Nolte, in the house here to share some ways to transform that reception space. First off, the jacket is phenomenal. I love it.
Well, Bill, as April showers bring May flowers, and this is May.
What do May flowers bring?
There we go. I'm hoping they bring some sunshine pretty quickly.
They bring pilgrims, Mr. Nolte.
There we do.
First off, before we get started, I apologize for that.
That was lame. That was really good, but lame.
I'll call my jokes lame. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for being here, first off. Let's talk about the, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Let's talk about, we're off to a great start.
Aren't we always?
So let's first talk about the couple that you had, that you're going to talk about today, and kind of tell us their story and how we got to where we are when you started bringing in your expertise to transforming their ballroom into the reception area to the chapel.
Well, it was called kind of the wedding of the spring season by all the vendors that worked with this wedding, and such a wonderful, cool couple. Eliza Mueller, Wes Follett. They fortunately had a short engagement, which makes it all just so much more fun and exciting. And as they wanted to keep, they had a lot of out-of-town guests, and they wanted to keep the transportation to a minimum, so they said, let's just have it all at one location. So we chose the Intercontinental Hotel on the Plaza to do that.
Beautiful. For
ceremony, reception, and after party.
So kind of describe the transformation in between, what you had for the ceremony to, a cocktail hour or whatever, then to the reception. How did that take place?
It was a little bit of a logistical challenge because their acceptances, this kept growing and growing and growing. This is an extremely popular couple, and the bride's very sweet mom, Janet Jacobs, throws fabulous parties, and nobody wanted to miss them. So you can see here in this photograph that we took a section of the ballroom, which is in 4 sections, and transformed it into a chapel, draped all the walls in white chiffon. I love aisle runners down the center of an aisle. It just says wedding. We had freestanding aisle candles, and then gold Corinthian columns at the top, filled with candles across the platform. Custom made the platform and the width of the staircase because the bride's train was a custom design and it was so wide and so long it wouldn't fit on a regular platform.
I love the lavender, the purple, and the backdrop there, and those gold columns really do stand out. What kind of led towards that rather than maybe having a traditional, like an archway or something like that? Is that just kind of what you saw? Or?
I just, I like to have every wedding be unique and a little bit different and unexpected, and I thought the gold columns just kind of fit the formal, regal look of what this wedding should be.
Okay, well, were the guests then told after the ceremony to go wait in the lobby while you started flipping it over for the reception, or what was kind of the procedure there?
It wasn't a case of where they just had to go stand and wait for something to happen, but when we had them exit for the cocktail hour, which is always just a 45-minute cocktail hour, cocktail hour should never be a full hour, the bridal party went outside real quick, did some pictures, came back inside this chapel that was being dismantled, did some pictures, and then they got to have a private preview of the interior of the ballroom themselves.
Oh, that's just gorgeous. I love the coloring in those pictures. It's fantastic.
I had Landers Visions does the lighting for all of my weddings, and so we were able to change all the colors of the walls throughout the course of the evening. And it was especially fun when the bride and groom walked in and got to see the room privately without anybody else in the room.
I bet it was a really special moment for them.
It was.
Now I know you always have kind of a surprise element to your plans and your wedding days. What was the surprise element here for them?
There is typically something up my sleeve, be it a flower jacket or not. There's something up my sleeve for each couple that I really get to know and that they trust me to do something. And I thought what would be so cool is to put the cake at the very far end of the ballroom. And when the bride and her mother and her groom walked in to see the ballroom for the very first time, these 4 long European banquet tables, they walked up to the cake, which was, as you could see, incredible, and the cake table was revolving.
Oh, cool. Did that have roses or flowers all along the cake?
It was completely encrusted with orchids and roses and miniature carnations.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Then inside was the most delicious French vanilla cake that you've ever tasted in your life.
Well, it looks fantastic and unbelievable there. And now it's kind of very formal and classic. It looked like you mentioned her train on her dress was large, very formal. How did that play into your design and with the wedding and the transformation of everything from room to room?
Well, I always think it's fun to have reveals about every 45 minutes that something might change throughout a ceremony or reception. And so during the time the guests were inside this beautiful Windsor Castle looking ballroom, dining room, on the other side of the wall, my crew was over there running around like chickens with their heads cut off, taking out everything that was church-like and bringing in a Vegas nightclub.
Oh, really?
And that included a light-up dance floor and a DJ and and I had Mike Shortino, one of my favorite DJs in town. He was in there in the club. Michael Beers, the band, was playing the formal dancing on the other side. The guests were totally oblivious of all the organized chaos going on the other side.
That's incredible. It just looks like a fantastic night. I'm sure they were very happy, and I'm sure the guests that showed up had several things to say, not only about enjoying the wedding, but just enjoying a great night out.
They did. It was at 11 o'clock then, and an announcement was made to turn your attention to the other end of the ballroom, and at that point, these white sheer drapes just slowly opened up, and people looked into what had been the chapel, and all of a sudden, they were in Vegas. And the bride's train, which was detachable, was suspended up on the wall, and we had all these highboy tables, and dancing started, and more food and more open bar. In fact, the bride's mother even paid the DJ to stay yet another hour. We finally had to make people just go home and go to bed.
So, hey, these folks need to get to bed here, folks, soon. So,
exactly.
Well, Mr. Nolte, we appreciate your time. That's a fantastic wedding. It makes me want to get married again.
I wished you would, because you know the guy to call. This wedding will be in the magazine, even though
Keep shooting my phone real quick here.
But you have lame jokes, but I'd still be glad to coordinate your wedding.
My jokes are lame, but they're appreciated, just like you are. Thank you, sir, very much. We appreciate your time today. All right, it can start in your 40s. Still ahead.